I have joining me now a familiar face and a familiar voice in the world of Jiu-Jitsu, AJ Agazarm. AJ, what's going on? What do you think so far?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man.
It's a pleasure to be sitting here with you. Hey, I'm gonna put this on my Instagram.
Let's do it.
We got a live stream getting ready. Now the party can get started, right, Will? Let's go. We got all the action going live.
We've got the women's heavyweight division getting started now. We've got Nathiely and Nadia Mello.
Yeah, what do we have so far? There's been a lot of tension looming, it feels like, in this arena.
Yeah, I think we probably have a few extra viewers than normal. I think a lot of people are likely tuning in to see whether or not Gordon Ryan is going to lose or not. If we're going to be quite frank, I think that's why we have a lot of extra viewers for this particular NoGi World Championship.
Can he pull it off?
I mean, so far, it's looked pretty good. And I was mentioning before you came on the air, we've had some names missing. We've had some guys out early due to injuries, some guys that we thought we were going to get to see. Lucas the Hulk Barbosa out with a back injury.
Right.
And then we've got some other missing names. Felipe Pena, not here today.
He's here today, but he's not competing.
That's right.
And that's the thing about Ali. It's actually unfortunate because that changes the entire dynamic of the bracket, both in the weight and in the absolute. To not have a guy like him, and also you didn't see Hulk in the absolute. I wonder why.
He's out with a back injury. So from what I
man.
understand, he's had some type of injury for a little bit and wasn't able to get here on the mats this weekend.
Even with the lack of the names here, it's just still been a very interesting and exciting event. I think it's also important to note that this year's registration for the IBJJF NoGi Worlds is almost double than what it was last year.
Yeah, and you can tell the volume of talent seems to be much greater than it was in the past couple of years. And we've seen it in some of the divisions where they've been much more tightly contested than they have in years past.
Right. What do we have going on here? This is a semifinal match or a
This
final?
is the finals of the women's heavyweight division here. And Nathiely, reigning world champion in the gi this year. And
That's right.
I believe... I don't think she faced Malyjasiak in the I think Malyjasiak maybe did a weight class higher or lower. I can't remember. I think she faced off against Claudia Duval in the Gi World Championships earlier this year.
Wow. And this is the category or absolute?
This is the category. This is the heavyweight division.
Oh, wow. She's got a great grip there on the low ankle. Let's see if she comes up with a takedown or sits back down. Oh,
she's coming up on that leg here. Approaching the boundary area here. She gets a takedown, but out of bounds.
Yeah, I think we'll force them back to their feet. It's always interesting to see this, what the referees do here. Like, that's a very, good position for her. And then to lose that and come back on her feet, she has to quickly pull again or get the takedown so she doesn't lose that opportunity to get those 2 points.
And someone that competes a lot, AJ, that boundary is a tool, right? It's a weapon that you can almost use in the match. You can use it to kind of corral your opponent, or you can actually use it to kind of take some risks, right? You spill out of bounds, all of a sudden you give up an advantage as opposed to some points.
Kind of, sort of, but it's also a curse at times. It's a fine balance with that boundary, especially in the IBJJF, because there's a lot of gray area, so you have to really do your best to maintain everything in the blue area. I try not to rely on the yellow as more. I try to rely on the blue more often than playing the boundary. But it definitely adds a level of excitement. That element of surprise. I think what's going to happen there, because it can go either way. I think with this match specifically, she did a good job of quickly pulling again and getting back to her position, so she didn't lose those 2 points. And now we'll see both of them are right back to where they were before that. And that plays into the psychology of the fight. Now she's shown that she's able and of really getting into that position in the single leg. So we'll see if that'll change the approach for Malyjasiak. How do you pronounce it?
Malyjasiak. My good friend Sean Williams helped me out with that one earlier this year.
God, he is all-knowing. He just knows every single last name. I feel like I'm like, what? You study these at home?
I know. I'm from rural Missouri, and so unfortunately for me, they're not easy for me sometimes.
Yeah. But this is a classic example of top versus bottom here. It looks like Milo has a fairly flexible guard.
She does, and it's diverse as well. You saw earlier she was rotating underneath, trying to get into the crab ride. But, you know, without the gi, a lot of those positions where you rotate underneath, it's so easy for the competitor on top to sort of free themselves and get away. And so it can be really hard to finish sweeps and a lot of things like that you'd normally see if you had the uniform on or something like that, be able to finish.
Right, especially with the pant on the bottom of the grip. But it's you know, that's what always makes it more interesting to see these gi fighters competing in the NoGi events. And I believe Gordon is really one of the changes in that, you know, because he comes from a strictly NoGi background. And so his game is much more unorthodox compared to the others.
You know, something that Robert and myself were commenting on earlier, one of the things that is unique to Gordon in this World Championship we've seen so far is he's used that honey hole position to sweep and to set different things up out of. And it's something that a lot of competitors have avoided because, you know, the knee reap. And yeah, exactly. And so he's used that to his advantage quite a bit today.
Yeah, it seems like he's almost educating the IBJJF on that position. I mean, but that's one avenue, that's one approach to the game. You know, personally, I prefer to try to get takedowns or try to be taken down. If that's your approach, to sit right away and play that game, have at it. I just personally ascribe to the opposite, and trying to take my opponent down or trying to get taken down, and amidst that and that stand-up battle. It's interesting to also see his approach and how heavy his wrestling training has been. Apparently, he's been focusing a lot on his feet, but you haven't seen much wrestling here today. So he's utilizing his guard pulls to benefit in these matches, which is, you know, I think it shows some diversity. It shows
absolutely.
You know, make some awareness to that the game's becoming more comprehensive.
Nathiely now scoring 2 points up on top with a lead with 3 minutes 44 seconds left to go in this women's heavyweight final. Working the pass now.
Yeah, it's very close.
Nearly through the guard here. Malyjasiak tying up both the legs here.
Let's see if she can stop the guard pass of Milo, who seemed to be pretty dominant this entire match.
Yeah, and Nathiely has really good knee bars from here as well, and so we'll see if she's able to pull something off. The Malyjasiak's legs are locked together, but
that was a nice little turnover.
Yeah, Nathiely's going to look for the toe hold maybe now.
She found the two of that. That was a very unique sweep. You don't see it that often in NoGi.
And she evens the score here. Nathiely still with a slight edge on the advantages. 2 minutes, 56 seconds left to go.
And she's looking to answer right back and come up to 2 points of her own. It's always it's this interesting battle back and forth of sweep and coming up on top and, you know, reversing the position. It always seems like, in my experience, the person who initiates the sweep first always ends up winning.
We can go back and take another look at those first points here that Nathiely scored, coming up from 50-50 a little bit earlier, and reminiscent of what we're seeing now. And they're trading it back and forth here, and that's kind of the paradigm of the 50-50 guard, is it not, AJ?
And it seems like always whoever initiates it and scores first is going to be the one that ends up winning the match.
Nathiely now coming on top.
Back on top. She's using the same sequence.
Yeah, and she's trying to get herself out here now, the 50-50, and she does. And now with head and arm control, threatening the mount.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is not a position you want to be in with limited time on the clock and you're down by 2 points and an advantage.
Yeah, at this point, she's really got to be thinking as much about defense as she does about offense. And she is able to work herself into a deep half here, so she's getting a slightly better position here.
It'll appear that Milo will probably start to put the coasters on here, knowing that she's got a pretty considerable lead.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see her stay as aggressive as she is right now with the lead that she has, knowing that Malyjasiak has been able to sweep her a couple times here. Malyjasiak now working them back into 50-50 here.
Well, she also has that advantage, so she knows that even if it comes up on top, she's still going to win the match.
Yeah. Locking the leg here.
It's still, yeah, it goes back to that initial sequence that she had with getting right back to the guard pull when she did when they went out of bounds. Was a huge factor into this match, the outcome of this match so far. There's still 30 seconds left. It'll be interesting to see if we see a submission attempt by our top athlete. Try to even the score a bit. If it went to a referee's decision, who would you think?
I think I'd probably give it to Nathiely at this point, but it's close. I mean, the referee's decisions are really, really tough, and you see them working now from 50-50. Nathiely working on a straight footlock, but she's really, really high up on the leg there, and it's really hard to finish from that part of 50-50.
And that's it.
And Nathiely is going to get the edge with the advantage. She's your 2018 female NoGi heavyweight world champion.
Got it done. Is this her first?
I think it is her first NoGi, because I don't believe she competed last year.
Wow.
And I think that last year was her first year at black belt, so this is her first NoGi world championship as a black belt.
Beautiful job. Really just is a great display of back and forth. A lot of takeaways, I think. Who do we have up next?
I believe we have the end of the women's division. We have the women's super heavyweight final between Jessica Flowers and Nivea Mora.
Oh, this will be a interesting match. What weight class is this?
It is women's super heavy, so it is the largest women's weight class. And Moore, I believe, is a veteran of typically the middleweight weight class, so it looks like she's moved up to super heavyweight. You can see some highlights here. Nathiely working on a knee bar, thinking about maybe a toe hold here, but this was actually Malyjasiak actually getting the sweep from that knee bar position.
Yeah, she just did a great job of controlling that entire sequence. The action, you've been here all weekend, yeah?
Yeah, it's been a long week. These matches all sorts of blur together after a little while.